Hey guys, I am back with another talk about this franchise. Now, I kind of got sidetracked in the last video. I should explain more why I into the video gaming area with this game franchise, but the one thing I just loved is just describing what we had back in 2000. You know, these games were just made by a great company that was willing to just make anything happen. Now they kind of evolved a little bit towards the end, and we'll get to that here in a second because this is the last game that Insomniac published um, with the Ratchet and Clank series before or after the Secret Agent Clank. They started doing something different. So, what I want to talk about with this game is that this game flew under the radar for me, and I didn't know anything about it until like I looked up like Google images of like Ratchet and Clank games, and I kept seeing Ratchet in a weird pose with two other robots. I was like, "What's this game?" And I looked it up, and it was like, "Oh, this is the next game after Up Your Arsenal." I was like, "Really?" And you can see it because this game is kind of like uh, Up Your Arsenal. It kind of has that same kind of look, but the difference is that Ratchet has a full armor set. He has no tail. They kind of make a joke about that in the game, and in this game he doesn't have Clank. Technically, Clank is there as your kind of like it was the HUD operator, and he didn't really like serve a purpose in the story besides being there to accommodate Ratchet, which is the reason why I always say that Clank has become kind of like a backbone character. Now, I heard in the newer games, like the PlayStation 3 era games, he became a little bit more of a pivotal role, which I want to test out and play in front, like make a YouTube video out of it and, play a live reaction for you guys and put it on my channel. So if you guys do want that, drop a comment down below. I am very pleased with the outcome of the last video. The views came out good. The likes, you guys are killing it. I love that people actually did like that type of content. But let's talk about this game a little bit more. So Ratchet and Clank get captured by this corporation called Dreadzone, and it's a gaming show that takes heroes and puts them in a gaming show, which I do like this concept because it does make our heroes get a little aggressive more. And the people you fight in this are former heroes turned bad guys that just did it for the money and love the fame and the fortune and the glory of killing other heroes. Um, so you pretty much take on Ratchet the whole game, and you have your side robot help with of two new characters, which they are freaking cool. I love the side characters they added. I wish they come back again in future franchises, or if they remastered it, it would be great to see that they actually do it. Um, this game was different for me. You auto strafe the whole time, which is a big thing because that's what killed me in the older games. Is you had to hold down that button. But this one, they literally said Ratchet is going all out because the thing that I liked about this game a lot was again right here the upgrading. You see it through his helmet that you upgraded. You see the ammo mods that you get, and in the customization, you got a lot more mods. And that's what I loved about this game is that the mods made the weapons so freaking diverse. You get a grenade launcher, you could add um, acid, shockwaves, little mini grenades, magma, and the one thing that really made this game so cool for me is the armor system that they did because each time you killed a um, boss, you got a better set of armor. It wasn't set to you buying it. And the only way you could fight that boss is if you did a lot of the challenges, and it makes you go for the bolts. And as you can see, this is my first playthrough of the game. I haven't beaten it yet because the game kind of crashes a lot. Again, going from older hardware to new hardware, it's going to take a lot of resources. So the game is a bit laggy on cutscenes, and it does kind of crash a lot, which I'm still not mad at. But overall, this game is still a 9 out of 10 for me because, again, this was a game that flew under my radar. But I just love how they did, like, this pose that Ratchet and the robots do. It's so cool. Like, that is very poster worthy. What happened to posters like that, and comic or covers for that made games look cool like that, I like it. Again, I just love this game for its weapon variety and its customization. You get to customize your HUD after a while. The robots get customized. The weapons in this are so cool. Like in your new game plus, you get weapons that get different colored kills. So like you can have like a rainbow effect on your color on your weapons. The mace is still broken in this game. They never fixed that. They said that I thought I heard a video say that they did. Now the mace in this game is still broken. Like I remember almost crashing my PlayStation 2 because this game just took so much. Like the minute more enemies spawn in this game, it becomes a hellscape and it dang near kills the game, which again is still a problem they kind of ran into. Like you can see a little bit of the lagging in here, but again, my PS5 is still brand new. It runs pretty freaking good. Again, this game is just 2005, 4, I think. You know, it's running on older gen, and again, Insomniac was probably just trying to get this game out and get to the new gen because PS3 was coming out relatively close after the PlayStation 2. So, again, once you're done with the game, you go on to the next. But this game overall is still like it holds up. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, yeah, some of the controls are a little janky. Like in the older games, you held circle to shoot, and this one they made you use the top trigger R1 to shoot, and then L1 was to switch weapons. You can still use the same old controls, but like the minute you get used to it, you can't go back. And that's one thing that I kind of had a problem with in the first time. But overall, you get used to it. This game is just so like user friendly. And again, it's just so fun to just go into these arenas and just ball out and just look like an official like badass. And the one thing I like about Ratchet in this game is the dual wielding pistols. Now they do bring these back in the other games, but this game I felt like handled it a little bit more because I'll talk more about what size matters and Secret Agent Clank does that kind of ruined it. But for the PS2 version era of Ratchet and Clank, this is the last game. I still love this game to death. And I will never get over it. The charm, the wit, the reason why, like, I wish games would go back to this formula is because they did try a lot to make it different in each new run. And they did try in the newer ones, but the PlayStation 2 was still, like, ahead of its time of gaming. And they did everything they could to make it, like, run for as long as they could. Like, I still had a PlayStation 2 through high school. But for it to get me into gaming, loving, like, weapons and modifications to weapons and, you know, seeing heroes take those dark turns that they had because, again, people like this are against them, you want to see the best for our heroes. And now some of our heroes are kind of, like, two-dimensional, but, you know, Ratchet was put up with so much that, you know, him changing the way he is, he has to deal with so much. And I just love this franchise to death. And the reason why it got me into gaming is because, you know, just the free, like, you know, run and gun situations of these games, you know, some of the stealth missions, but, like, just to have fun and see what the creators did to make this happen. And, you know, even if it was easy for a lot of us, you know, when you didn't have a memory card back in the day, if you remember having a memory card for your PlayStation 2 and just wishing to God that it saved and always wishing that your discs ran, and it's a bit of nostalgia that we'll never get back ever again. And I'll miss this era of gaming, but I love how much Ratchet and Clank has changed my life to do content creation, to, you know, when I used to watch gameplay of when I missed these games and I had a PlayStation 4 and, you know, playing on my PC now, it's like I'm glad that these games are accessible and that, you know, I can have fun on these games still, even if, you know, they lag or they crash. I still have fun wanting to go back and, you know, go look for hidden, you know, secrets and find, you know, more skill points that you get throughout these games. And I just am so in love with these games that I can't express any longer, or, you know, give them more of their flowers than they need. But Ratchet and Clank Dread Zone is still gonna hold like the best of what Insomniac had, and overall, again, I wish they would do more of these type of games and bring back these, you know, old style gaming styles. But let's get into the next version of Ratchet and Clank, which was the most weird version of Ratchet and Clank. So I will meet you guys in the next clip. Alright guys, this one is going to be a doozy. Now, from what I remember, Ratchet and Clank Size Matters was debuted on PlayStation Portable. Now, if nobody remembers the PlayStation Portables, they were the handheld versions of PlayStation that they wanted to get out. Now, I did have one. I do love what they were trying to do and attempt with these games, because in all reality, these games still are fun to play, and for like what they ran on the PlayStation Portable, it runs still pretty solid. Now, the one thing you notice a lot is the graphic drop and the kind of like cartoonish art style that they went with. Again, for PlayStation Portable, it was really running on like really low tech. And it did run good for what it was worth. Like they were worth a decent amount of money. And you can see in the backgrounds like it looks just like, oh god, they really didn't try. No, no, no. See, this is for consoles. So PlayStation Portable was really pushing for this. And I'm not mad at it. Now, see, this is why I want remasters for high impact games, because this game would look beautiful on new generational content. And like the armor sets they had, like you saw in the beginning, I was looking at an armor set because this game ran for new armor. Because every version of Ratchet and Clank is going to have new armor sets for Ratchet and, you know, the weapons stuff. And it's just making it different. And that's what I liked about Ratchet and Clank Matters because of all the armor sets we got. We got the crystallized one, we got a fire one, we got a sludge one that gave you toxic powers, and there was like so many of them. Now I don't remember a lot of them besides the main base ones because again, this game really was difficult at the time because this one is more greedy with bolts, and I don't know if High Impact really knew like what they were doing with Ratchet and Clank's weapons because like our weapons, I felt like I couldn't do no damage. Like you'll watch in these clips of me playing these games that it looks like I don't do anything to them, but you watch like when I played Ratchet Dread Zone, I was killing them left and or destroying them left and right. And I just don't know if like High Impact just didn't know like if they didn't want us to be too powerful or if they just didn't want us to, you know, seem like we were getting like too crazy with it. But like the one thing that I loved about this game was again, you got to upgrade your guns and it showed again what your weapons would look like with different mods. Now, again, like it just made it so dysfunctional that like, you know, they gave us all these cool weapons and, you know, different versions of like armor, but like it just felt like we were weak. Like our armor sets, this crystallized form only lasts like maybe a couple levels and then you have to switch out to the newer one. And that's one thing I don't like about these games that High Impact tried to do with like Ratchet and Clank Size Matters is that the armor just didn't seem like it really needed to do that. Like give us the armor, but let us customize it to where like it's just a function, and it does give us like cool little effects, not just oh this crystallized form is only gonna protect you from like 40% damage, but it's like no, give us more. Overall, the story is different. Um, it's not like the best story. Like it's just two dimensional because again, they're running on like the gen of like PlayStation Portable. But like overall, it's not a bad game. I love it for the nostalgia fact of like when I was playing PlayStation 2, I did get this and I loved it because again, the music is so cool, the sound effects sound decent, the creatures in this game are actually pretty interesting, like rabid sheep on a planet that, you know, um, you're on a moon that you know cycles through night and day pretty quick, and the sheep go from these little cute little things to like the most deadliest creatures in the world, and I find that so funny. Like that's different, it's cool. And then you got like the plant gadget that you know you get different types of plants that help you traverse or you know get through objects. That's cool. And again, if it ran on like newer gen consoles, like if it actually ran on like PlayStation 4 or 3, I think this game would look beautiful. And I think the developers would have an interesting backdrops for a lot of stuff. But again, it's going to look like PlayStation 1 graphics because again, you're running on a PSP. PSP was not well known for its graphics. PlayStation 4 and 3 were the biggest jumps and leaps in technology because again, portables you have to really run on like the less of what you have. That's why Nintendo Switches always have a problem. But for what it's worth, I still give this game a 7 out of 10. They could have done a lot more, especially for the armor and weapons of damage and stuff. Like, you'll see right here, like, this shotgun looks like it does nothing. And it doesn't look like I do anything. And then he does, like, I go from 32 to 11 in, like, a span of, like, 10 seconds. And then, I don't know. I just wish they did a lot more. But I will give this to High Impact. They did give us some form of a game with this and Secret Agent Clank. But overall, I feel like Insomniac just gave it to them because they were focused on the newer generation of consoles, and then they said, we'll take over Ratchet and Clank when we do PS 3 and 4. So just give us a couple years and we'll give you a new game. Overall, I wish more for these games because they are really fun and easy to play. Like, yeah, it's hard, but if you know what you're doing, it can get quite traversal. Just you need to do a lot more damage, and your armor needs to be watched at. But I can't really say too much about this game again because it's just you didn't do much in it. You just went from point A to point B pretty quick. There was literally no like side missions, not too many games to get past besides like the hoverboard races again brought back from Ratchet and Clank 1, and then you just defeat the boss and call it a day. Clank again was kind of not sidelined in this game. He got his own little like, oh, he goes to his own planet and does his own thing because they get separated, but it was just short lived. And then you deal with this new enemy, I think it was like Technomites or something, and the mini games again were dumbed down because again you're running on a PlayStation Portable. That's the one thing I'll say about this game is that it was running on a PlayStation Portable and PlayStation 2 type thing. They could have done more, but for what High Impact gave us, it was a game to pad out until Ratchet and Clank, whatever came out on PlayStation 3. Same with Secret Agent Clank. So overall, it's a good little like kids game that you can just disassociate with, and just it did tie in. I guess I want to say like they kind of forgot about Dread Zone. I want to say because it kind of looked like the newspaper that like Clank has. It looked like the armor set from Ratchet and Clank 3. So I don't know if they just forgot about Ratchet and Dread Zone, but overall, it's just a game that just made a different game for the story. So I think it still did pretty good. 7 out of 10 in my book. The game still tries its best, and I wish the armor system was a little bit different and the weapons hit a little harder, but I give it to the gadgets and the secret areas that you get. But let's get into Secret Agent Clank and let's just pad out the last little bit of my theories and my last little thoughts on these games. So we are at the end, the Secret Agent Clank, the last of the series before it went on to the PlayStation 3. This game was kind of underrated. It fell under the radar pretty quick. I mean, not too many people wanted a Clank-based game, but hey, we got it. And this is what Clank needed. He needed his rise to stardom to actually do something with his character and actually give him stuff to do. And, Ratchet wasn't sidelined. He was, in this game, he got sent to prison due to a mishap with something that goes on for the story. Again, if you guys want to see the stories for what they are, go check out other channels that pull on full playthroughs. They are fun to watch, especially if you're just chilling or you need something to do. But this game literally just follows Clank as a secret agent. I don't know if it was like the persona that they kind of attached it to, or they just gave in and just said Clank is a secret agent. But his movement in this game is actually pretty good, and I do like how he moves. He moves a little bit better than Ratchet in the this version of the games, but overall, it's a decent game. It has a good story. I'm not gonna lie, it's a good story. It does follow some characters we haven't seen, and it does have some great little visual effects. And I think this was a good up for PlayStation Portable games because it ran a lot better than Size Matters, but it still is it's still like High Impact's second game, I think, with Ratchet and Clank, but still is pretty good. Overall, this game is a good 7 out of 10. Music is good. The little side games they have in here for Quark and Ratchet and Clank, they all have their own stories. So overall, I give this game a 7 out of 10. But what really pushed me to really want to do gaming stuff like this is just seeing how people did it back in the day. It was just oh, look at the secrets you could find, look at all this. This game literally did push me to want to just keep doing gaming and stuff because I mean it's just so fun to just see what creators of these games actually do. High Impact, Insomniac, Treyarch, all of them. Halo's creators from Xbox to Bungie to everyone. I'm just so impressed with everyone's work and dedication to try to make games back in the day. The effort, the amount of time they had to create something and give us something cool for the holidays when Christmas time was a big thing for kids to get gaming consoles or games that we all loved and still to this day. Again, I'm playing this on a PlayStation 5 happily and enjoying my time making the videos and getting the clips for you guys and, uploading it to my TikTok page that I will need to keep up on. But for what these games are, they are diamonds in a rough. We'll never get these type of games again, the way that they are for what they were. We're just going to get, cutscenes and, different styles of, battle passes in them, or, DLC packs for the stories when the stories could be ended in one sitting, or, they just get what they get, and we don't need fixes for them. A game will come out either good or, extremely buggy for its first time. But I want to end it on a good note of saying these games hold a very special place in my heart. Even my sister, I told her I was doing the videos, and she's like, "Oh my god, I miss all these games." And when we have these connections to these games with what we were given as kids, we tend not to. We tended to just let it go and kind of just be sad by you know, seeing how much they've grown, or watching the gameplay, and it's like, God, I remember this looked like the best graphics in the world, and now looking at it, it's like, oh, this looks a little horrendous. What were they thinking? But we had those cell shaded kid thoughts, and I will never hate these games. I will love what they did and what they brought to me, and I thank the creators and the voice actors and the people who made these games special. I want to do more videos like this for you guys. These are fun to do, just to rant on about gaming and what's going on in the gaming world as of today, and what we had back then in the early 2000s. But I will end it on a note of saying thank you guys for the love and support on the last video, the likes, the review, or the views. My next review, I honestly don't know what it's going to be. I haven't really seen much lately, but if nothing comes out, I'm willing to do gameplay for the other Ratchet and Clank games that came out on PlayStation 3. So, yeah, I'll end it on a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace.